Welcome back to Lisa and Michael Save the World 5 Minutes with photographer Lisa Faigin today.
How you doing?
We're
Lisa,
good.
it's so great that you're here and joining us. Love it.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of the party.
And we love to party.
I've heard that.
But I haven't been partying, even though my face looks like I have been. I don't know why everyone else has normal skin tone and I don't, but hey, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so let's get started.
Great.
Let's talk to Lisa, talking to Lisa. Let's do it.
All right.
Influences.
Sure. So, it's interesting because some of my influences as a photographer are not necessarily the type of photography that I do. So I aspire to be a better photographer, but I think every photographer looks for their own inspiration. So I'll give you an example. I love Dorothea Lange. I think that her historical photography is just incredible. And so when I grow up, I want to be like her and be able to capture faces and imagery the way that she does. That is so meaningful for people when they see it. However, that is not the kind of photography that I'm currently doing, but that she is a great influence to me as a female photographer and somebody who really captures emotion in what she shot.
Michael, just in case you don't know who Dorothea Lange is, do you know who Dorothea Lange is, Michael?
I know I'm a terrible photographer and I don't, but I'm going to look her up because this sounds very interesting.
And yeah. She is. And I can see Lisa's influence. Like Dorothea Lange's work is very editorial, and so is Lisa's. Lisa definitely tells a story.
It's very interesting because you're saying how your the photography your influence isn't necessarily the photography that you do at the moment, and it's a very interesting take because I probably am inspired by photographers that I don't do the same kind of work, but I've never thought of it that way. I'm always thinking of photographers that do similar,
Right. And there are definitely other photographers whose work I look at and I just am in awe of how they capture color. Even a local photographer who I stood next to at an art event, David Green. I love his work and I love how he captures color. So, that's a modern influence and a historical influence. So I came prepared with two.
And you know what's nice, and Michael and I talk about this all the time, that we're inspired by, of course, famous, well-known, but local artists also inspire us. And inspiration doesn't always have to be the literal visual. It can be like, if I can see an artist who's doing something that's breaking the rules or that's courageous, or that inspires me to push myself. It gives me the motivation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is definitely.
So Michael prepared some questions, I think. Did you?
Okay.
Well, I did, but she more or less answered. Well, my question was going to be what or who is your biggest influence? So you did who? Is there a what?
Well, I suppose there is a what, and the what for me, especially that I haven't been doing this as long as some others, is the local art community in Rockland County and, in this area, that I am incredibly influenced by all of the work that I see, even in mediums that are not photography, painters, sculptors, and there's such a rich art community in this area that I'm consistently influenced by their passion, and it raises the bar, but it also inspires me to do more with my photography.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Art groups do. You know, you really, if you're not, I don't know how people do it if they're not involved with the community, because it kind of keeps you going, I
Right,
think.
because art can be very isolating.
Mhm.
You know, you
Yeah.
think about, you know, an artist in their studio or a photographer in their studio or out on the street, and it's a very singular activity. But if you're not involved with other artists, then you don't get that camaraderie. And I do think there's a camaraderie amongst artists and well, of all kinds, that we influence each other whether we really know it or not. And it's not as competitive as I think people might think it would be. You
True.
know, there's plenty of room for every kind of art out there without feeling like you're intimidated by another artist's work.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be. I always kind of in the beginning found the opposite, that there was a lot of, you know, kind of
Yeah.
photographers can be a little strange at times, but yeah, as I'm getting older, I feel like it's getting better, or you just don't pay attention to those people anymore.
Right, and just do what you feel is right for, you know, the kind of art that you do. Like, I love your photography, Michael, but I would never even know where to start to do the kind of photo shoots that you do, because the things that I shoot are very singular and, you know, out in the world kinds of things, animals, flowers, architecture, things that don't move very fast, you know?
Yeah, it's true, and it's the same with me. I'm always very I don't want to say envious because that doesn't sound right, but a bit envious of other photographers like yourself that can capture objects and make them look interesting. Sometimes I feel like I do that, and I'm like, this looks like the object just sitting on the table. You know, it's so much. It needs to be so much more than that. You need to have that eye. You know.
It's
Yeah.
true. And I can tell everyone from personal experience that Lisa's photography inspired me, and I did 3 paintings that were directly influenced by Lisa. I took 3 of my favorite, but there's way more than 3 of my favorites. But I started with these first 3, and they sold before I even got a chance to exhibit them. So I think I've tapped into something. Being inspired by Lisa is good for this Lisa.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm happy to do that, and that really means so much to me that you thought that there was something there that you could draw from and, you know, do this beautiful work. So I'm very, very happy that that worked out that way.
And I recommend to everyone listening to visit Lisa's website, visit her social media, because I fell in love with her photography and it inspires me and makes my day better. And I know it'll do the same for you.
Absolutely, and
Lisa,
we'll have all
thank you
that
so much.
information out.
Lisa, this was great.
Thank you. I'm very happy to have been here, and thanks for the discussion.